Alright, welcome back YouTubers to another video here on Rostec Automotive. Today we'll be working on a 2006 BMW X3. This is the E83 chassis. Alright. Customer states that he has a TPMS light that keeps on coming on even though the tires have sufficient air in them. According to him, he says that the previous mechanic told him that because the wheels are not the correct size for the vehicle, then that is why the TPMS light is on. Makes no sense to me. I don't know that to ever be a situation. So the car is supposed to be running a staggered set of wheels, 225, 45, 18 up front, and 235, 45, 18 in the back. However, he's running 235, 55, 17 all around. His mechanic states that because of the difference now having a square setup, then it is causing the TPMS light to go off. So we proved that there is no such thing. We proved that it was really and truly one of the RDC aerials at the right rear of the car that was causing the TPMS light to come on. Consequently, the customer decided that what he wanted to do was to have the TPMS function coded out of the vehicle completely, because it's of no use to him really. I've gotten these kind of questions many times before. Customers want to just get rid of the TPMS, especially here in Canada, where they have to be changing different sets of wheels throughout the year for summer and winter. So that is what we're going to be doing mainly today. So we'll be using ISTA for the purpose of running a few ABLs, reading out the modules, being able to show the customer a visual representation of his ECU tree, or the control unit tree, I should say, and then be able to better explain the fault codes that are in the vehicle to him. There are quite a few, to be honest with you, and a very finicky DSC module. On top of that, it's a case where we did a few other functions here and there, steering angle calibration. We did reset the engine adaptations and a few other things here and there. There are two pictures basically of a broken ground strap that I found under the vehicle, so I brought that to his attention. That was done while we went under the vehicle to disconnect the aerial that was giving an issue. And we will also be using NCS Expert to do some VO coding, and also to get things up and running based on what he wants. So as we see here, the DSC is not responding, right? The RDC is the TPMS sensor that is there. Other modules that you see in yellow mean that they have faults in them. So here it is that I'm pointing out to the customer that the dynamic stability control is not giving any response. For some reason though, there's no light on the dash that signals to us that there is any issue with that system. So not sure what it is that was taking place there, but take that as you may. So here we're just giving some information to the customer as to what each of these modules are, where the faults are, and what module it is that we'll be focusing on. All right. Next thing that we're going to move on to do here is to look at the fault codes that do exist. All right. And here it is that we see that there is an issue with the DME According to him, he got a new fuel tank cap and it does not really close properly, so he has to force it in. So that is why you have that tank ventilation check there. You see down at the bottom, there's no communication possible with the DSC. There are issues in the GM5 module, and you will see where it says wheel electronics rear right, no reception for the RDC. So that foolishness that the other mechanic told him, in plain Jamaican terms, nothing a go so. Right? So now what we're doing is calculating the test plan to see if it is a case where it is a hardware malfunction or if it is a software malfunction in which we can get to run one of these ABLs to reinitialize the RDC and see what is going on. So we are going through the test plan here, and we will be, I think at this point I was telling him about the wiper drive ABL and the reset contact for the windshield wiper, but he was saying that there was some Frankenstein work done on the vehicle where that is concerned, so I should leave that alone for now. So a lot of these faults that are in the vehicle do exist from long before the car came to me, so a lot of them won't come back. All right. So here we're going to be running the ABL for the rear wheel electronics, and we're going to go through this, and at the end of it I can already tell you will see me hovering over the RDC aerial that is under the vehicle that we're going to be disconnecting, and you will see me hovering over that because we have verified that it is a hardware fault, but you will see where we go through this ABL to prove that that is so. Alright, so see here that I'm hovering over that, signaling to the customer that that aerial is what is actually giving an issue, and for us to address what it is that he wants to be done, then we are going to be getting onto the car. We're going to have to find it and disconnect it. Prior to doing that though, we're going to clear the fault memory and see what is what. You're going to see an amazing thing happen where all of a sudden the DSC starts to read. Alright? I have a feeling that this dynamic stability control unit is maybe on its way out, or there is some issue with the wiring that goes towards it, because it reads one moment, it doesn't read the other. I'm not quite sure what it is that is taking place where that is concerned. However, that is not the main concern in dealing with the vehicle. Customer stated that the vehicle brakes perfectly, traction control and everything works as it should, and he just cares about the TPMS at this given point in time. So let's work with that, and then at another point in time we can look at the DSC. And now it is that you can see where the DSC actually starts to read, comes up with some faults inside there, and is reading as yellow. And it tells us that there's an engine management interface error and the steering angle sensor. We later on do the ABL for the steering angle sensor supply and also recalibrate it, which both of them pass. And we learn that the engine management interface is not associated with the DSC in any way. It's just an error that is associated with it. But nonetheless, we go ahead to calculate a test plan to see if we can get the steering angle done and that kind of thing to address the DSC. As you see there, it says the cause of this fault is not attributed to the dynamic stability control. So that says that we should work through further codes and delete the fault codes in the DSC. So pretty much the fault that's stored in it is not attributed to it, so just get rid of the code, move on with life. That's exactly what we do. We move on to steering angle, supply steering angle sensor. And we go through this. If my memory serves me right, this is the part where we have to turn the ignition on and off a couple times and make sure that the voltage does not vary, or it should stay at about 0. Yes, I am correct. So we're supposed to observe that. It didn't pass 0. We did it multiple times. So I just skipped over that part. There was no change. It stayed at 0. So that passed the ABL. And now we're going to be doing the steering angle sensor adjustment. And we go ahead with performing the adjustment. And in so doing, it says that we can use a visual inspection to line up the wheel straight, which we did, having the wheel straight, and then we did our adjustment where that is concerned. The customer actually had done a full power steering flush, and did some work on the steering system at some point, and after that this code was stored. So doing this just eliminates all possibilities where that is concerned. Even then, doing all of this, the DSC was still a bit finicky, as you will see later on in the video. You'll see that the steering angle is changing That is me physically turning the steering wheel to make sure that the angles are being read correctly, which it was, and the DSC fault memory was deleted. So we end that ABL, and that is really that for the DSC, to be honest with you. So here it is more of the same. We just go ahead again, delete the file memory. DSC should come back up in green this time. All of this is being done beforehand to eliminate all of the potential factors in the braking and tire system that may cause any potential issues, and also to make sure that when it comes time for coding, that there is no fault memory that is stored that is going to cause any issues with the coding or the programming or anything like that. So that is exactly what it is that we have been doing there. At this point, we were explaining to the customer why it is that those faults came back for the GM5 module, and it's simply a case where there's an issue with the CAN line connection to the passenger side rear view mirror. Could be a faulty connection or something, not sure what's going on there, but again, nothing too serious, not going to mess with anything that we are asked to work on. However, it is a case where all of this information is stored so that when it is that the customer does come back to address those issues, we have some basis on which to work by and know what is what from the very onset of things. So right here we end up breaking the connection, rereading over the car again to see what it is that comes up, and as we see, the DSC comes back up in red again. Still unsure as to what is going on with that unit, but again, it's not our main concern. Read all the codes and we see that the area for the RDC comes back. So we are sure 100% that there is a hardware fault on the right rear wheel where that aerial is supposed to be getting a reading from tire pressure sensor. So we save a copy of the fault code readout after all of this preliminary work has been done, and this pretty much is going to be our fault memory. Now it is labeled as RDC because that is the main thing that we were asked to pay attention to and work on. So that is what we're going to be doing. Alright, so now we're going to break the connection after we print out the ECU3, and from there it's going to be a case where we are going to get onto the car, search for the RDC aerial. A couple of things that I noted to the customer under there: seems to have a rear main seal leak, also broken ground strap. To be honest with you, for a car that is in Canada, the rust is not that bad, but as you can see, the ground strap is broken. That one links to the exhaust there. And then we head back inside to now do the coding part. So on the left you will see I have a notepad document where it is that I have my information there as to what it is that I'm going to be doing. On the right you see me have NCS Expert. I've already changed the vehicle order, alright, and removed the code for the TPMS. At this point I am basically then now writing that code back to the combi and also the LSZ module. So that's what's taking place here. Now after that coding has been written back, we are going to be, after we've written back the FA or the VO, whichever one you want to call it, they're both the same. What we've done is we're now going to be coding the combi, and we're also going to be coding the DSC. So there are a few codes inside here that we're going to set to not active. This vehicle does not have a CCC, which is a car communication computer. Therefore, the CIC or CCC coding is not relevant. We only need to get into the combi and also the DSC. Alright, so here it is that we have finished doing the changes in the coding. We have saved the man file, and now we're going to go back to NCS Expert, so that we can write the coding to the module. Personally, I prefer using BMW coding tool to do the editing of the trace file. It's a bit more organized, I find, personally. NCS Dummy can also be used, or you can do it the old school way and go into the actual trace file and write it over as the man file when you're finished, but I prefer using BMW coding tool. Now at this point we're going to try to connect to the DSC known as the DXC in NCS Expert. However, we do find ourselves with a problem because, as you would have remembered, the last time we read it out in ISTA, it was giving us an error to say that it was not being read. So we end up checking our connection here with the car. We head back to ISTA, and in ISTA it's a case where we will be checking the vehicle to delete the fault codes. We're going to read it back out, delete the fault codes. We're going to see that the DSC is now reading again, and we will just take advantage of that at that given point in time so that we can, do the necessary coding in that module also. As I said, I'm not 100% sure what's going on with the module. You read it out this moment, it's not being picked up. You read it out the next, you delete the fault codes and you read it out the next, and it's being picked up. I don't think it's an issue with ISTA nor the cable, because it's the only module that is behaving that way, and this is the only car that I've used that behaves this way where this module is concerned. So no communication is possible with the dynamic stability control, so we end up deleting the faults, and as you'll see, it comes back and it reads the module, and we just break the connection again, jump right back into NCS Expert and try to do the coding that we need to do. So said, so done. Module is now reading. No errors in the module, so we're gonna take advantage of that in this moment. Gonna head right back to NCS Expert. Now we're going to be able to read out the DSC comfortably and do the necessary coding that we should in the module. And as you see, it doesn't come back with anything to tell us that the VIN is faulty. So that means that the DSC is now reading. We can load it up, save our trace file from it, go back into BMW coding tool, load that trace file and the module, and then from there we can change literally just one code inside there. So as you see, we changed the code. After changing the code, we save the man file, head back to NCS Expert, we change the job, go SG codering, okay, execute job, and we code the DSC, and that is pretty much it. After that, we're good to go to take it for a drive, and we should not have any TPMS light coming up on the dash. There is a stitch of a video further down to the end that will show that we took it on a drive and there were no lights. So as you see, again, we read out the ECUs in the car, or control units, and DSC is in red again, which, as I said, don't know what's going on there. So we're gonna save this as the RDC being fixed, because that is the module in which we were asked to do work in. So this is the after result. The RDC is still going to show that there's an error in it for that rear right wheel, but that is because we did not disconnect everything from it. Alright, so there will not be any error shown because everything is set to not active where the RDC is concerned, so it's not reading for any signal. But it is still a case where the computer is going to pick up that there is like a broken connection or something with the right rear wheel, but it will not show anything on the dash, which is precisely what the customer wants. If you make a quick pause on the video right there, then you will be able to see that we removed from the vehicle order the code for the tire pressure monitoring system, which is 2VB. We did not bother putting in the other code for the flat tire management system since he doesn't have a CCC to give him that information. Here is now where we're going to be going ahead and deleting the engine adaptations and values for the customer, since he had done some work on the vehicle and he was experiencing a kind of sluggish response after having changed plugs, coils, and multiple things inside the engine. However, his previous mechanic did not go ahead and delete the adaptations for him, so we just go ahead and do that for him, express or explain to him how it is that he should drive the vehicle and what is going to happen over time. And so far so good. He is quite happy with the work done. So pretty much in this ABL, we're just following the instructions that are there. Switch on terminal 15, clear the fault memory, switch it off, then wait 15 seconds, switch it back on, delete the fault memory again, and we did all of that, and then we continued. So we head back here, go to our troubleshooting, we clear our fault memory, and we do pretty much exactly what it is that the ABL tells us to do, and we are good to go where that is concerned. Alright, so fault memory is being cleared here, and we're doing up the last of the ABL procedure. So you're gonna see that we are going to be displaying the fault memory there, and we're going to be clearing the faults again as it is that the ABL required us to do. In a second, you're going to see terminal 15 hit 0 volts. It's going to come back on in time, and all should be well. The GM5 module definitely has a hard fault in it, so that is to be expected that it's going to come back in yellow. It is necessary to note that while working on the vehicle, when we just simply cleared the code for the TPMS and took it for a drive, within the first less than a kilometer, maybe the first 20 seconds of driving, that the TPMS light would start flashing and then come back on with a hard fault. After disconnecting the aerial and driving around with it, pretty much the same, after 15-20 seconds it would come back on. After doing all of this that we have done, particularly for the RDC, then it is a case where after driving it around, we have had no light on, nothing like that, and this was maybe over a 5-kilometer drive at varying speeds, and no light comes back on. All right, so this is pretty much how you would go about dealing with a TPMS light being removed. As you see in the video here, we're pretty much heading back to the shop where we did the job, and there's no light on except for his fuel light. Common for BMWs to be out of gas, it seems. But no tire pressure monitoring light, and customer has not contacted me back to let me know that it is on at any given point in time either. So all is well where that job is concerned. And that is that. So I'm out.